Hello, my lovely sober friends. Welcome to your Double Down on Your Recovery bonus episode number 110 of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. I'm your coach, Angela Pugh, helping you survive sobriety and thrive as a happy, sober person. Thank you for spending some time with me today listening to the pod. Hopefully, you're getting back to listening to the pod while you're in the gym. I know that is one of the major times that people listen to podcasts is while they're exercising. And I know many of you, just like me, have stayed on track with exercise even while the gyms have been closed. In my city, we have these walking paths that literally go across the entire city. One of them is like 16 miles long. There are different entry points across the city and different loops you can do because obviously most of us aren't going to get on at the beginning and go the whole 16 miles. But it is a paved path the whole way. It goes through the woods and by the train tracks, and it's really quite an adventure. It's beautiful. And each time we get on the path in a different place, and it's a totally different adventure. But my father and I, about 5 years ago, my father took me to this specific part of the path, and we've made it our regular hike. It's almost 5 miles. About a mile of it is an 18% incline. For those of you who don't know what that means, it's very uphill. Like we are panting and feeling like we're going to die, trudging up these crazy hills. And listen, I do not like to go outside, okay? Let's just be honest about this. I don't mind going outside to go to the pool or to get on a boat and go out in the ocean. But I am one of those people who is always hot. Like no matter what, I am 1,000 degrees. And that's why you hear me talk about not liking summer so much, because it's just incredibly uncomfortable for me. I'm already hot, then it gets 95 or 100 degrees, and I get pretty angry with life. Plus all the flying and stinging insects, and I'm just not a fan of summer. It's super gross, like all of it. So the perfect part of this hike for me is that it is paved. And we're in the woods almost the whole time. There's a ton of wildlife. We see deer. We've seen baby raccoons. We saw a beautiful blue heron a couple of weeks ago, and he was probably as tall as me. I guess not that that's really saying much because I'm only 5'2", but that's tall for a bird. Okay, it's not tall for a human, but that's a big bird. And the unattractive part of the woods is there are also a ton of snakes. So we see copperheads all the time, and that is not a snake you want to get bitten by. It's super poisonous, especially if you're in the middle of the woods after climbing up to the top with no quick exit. So for a few years, we did this hike probably 3 to 4 times a week. It's an incredible workout, especially in the summer when it's 90 plus degrees and you're just pouring sweat the whole time. And I tell you all of this to say, let me make a long story longer. I tell you all of this to say, when the coronavirus hit and all the gyms closed, I immediately got back to the hike. I got my girlfriend going with me. I got my father back out there. So between the two of them, I have still been going like 5 to 6 times a week, and it really kept me sane. One of the reasons it will keep you sane is, there's a whole therapeutic piece to walking. When I work with couples who are struggling with communication or parents and kids struggling to communicate, this is one of the things I tell people to do. Go for a walk together. And there are a few reasons this is valuable. First of all, you're on neutral ground, right? You aren't in your home or in your office or your partner's office or in your kid's bedroom. You are in completely neutral territory where everyone is equal. Secondly, you're walking side by side, shoulder to shoulder, which is also a neutral and equal position. And sometimes during challenging conversations or disagreements, like each person has their own way of trying to control the conversation, right? Like guys can posture and stand up and get loud, and all these subtle maneuvers are attempts at control and being the controlling person because it makes you feel like you're winning, right? And sometimes women get loud and slam things. But when you're walking, there's none of the theatrics. You're shoulder to shoulder as equals in neutral territory. Another reason this is super helpful is because you aren't looking at each other. Again, you're side by side, which naturally takes down the pressure of looking directly at someone when you're both uncomfortable and or irritated by one another. People have a tendency to talk more openly when they aren't face to face, but side by side, it feels less intimidating. Also, as you are walking, you are allowing your body an outlet for that uncomfortable energy. We all learned this in school in science class, right? We're all made up of atoms and energy. And your brain and body are their own little electrical systems. When there is angst and anxiety and discomfort, it changes your energy on the inside. And the worst thing you can do is keep that negative energy on the inside. You have to get it out of you, or it will start causing you all kinds of issues, right? It'll destroy your mood, cause depression. It can also cause physical problems, headaches, backaches, joint pain. Many of those aches and pains we have can be the result of all this angsty energy or depression and anxiety. You hear the term, "my stomach is in knots," and we all understand what that phrase means, right? It's a physical response to the emotion. It's anxiety or fear of something. And when you're in anxiety and your body and your muscles are super tense and contracted, obviously it's going to cause some physical symptoms because your muscles are tense and contracted. Are you with me? So as you're walking, it is a natural outlet to release any fear or discomfort or anxiety that comes up as a result of the conversation. It's allowing that negative energy to get out. Lastly, when you're out in a public place where there may be other people around, you will naturally behave better. You will watch your tone of voice. You will not raise your voice and start yelling at your person like you would behind closed doors. Your posture will remain relaxed because you don't want to look like you're upset to anyone around you. So your behavior is already going to be 1,000% better and more conducive to a constructive conversation. So me and my girlfriend do this hike and we really get into some stuff, I tell you, figuring ourselves out, problem solving. And me and my pop just enjoy one another. We have great conversations. We laugh. We love the wildlife. It's just good all the way around. And that is how I've stayed on my exercise game while the gyms were closed. Luckily, mine reopened a few weeks ago and I've been getting back in my regular routine, and I've still been doing the hike with my people too because it is a happy and sacred time together. But I hope for you guys out there listening, I hope your gyms are starting to reopen too so you can start feeling some sense of normalcy again as we navigate our way back into a, quote unquote regular world, whatever that's going to look like now. That's a great tool, by the way, that I just broke down for you. Walking, for those of you who are just listening along and thinking, oh, that sounds nice. Maybe you want to put that tool in your toolbox and start using it. It doesn't have to be only for serious conversations, but to spend more quality time with friends. Like me and my girlfriend, when we do the hike, we do it fast, like power walking, up all the hills, all 5 miles. We work our butts off. I'm drenched in sweat by the time we get back to the car. Me and my pop, it's a little different because he's almost 70, right? But don't gloss over all the benefits I just laid out for you about walking and never take action. If you are one of the people who is really wanting to feel better, here's a tool to feel better. Guaranteed. It's science, people. It works. But you have to pay attention and you have to make a point to try it. Don't talk yourself out of it before you ever get out of the house. Don't start telling yourself this ridiculous story about how much you don't want to do it. It's going to take too long, or you hate exercise. If you are telling yourself all the negatives before you even do it, then of course you're not going to enjoy it. And you'll be less apt to actually follow through and try it because you're filling your own head full of a bunch of BS about how awful it is. Let's try this story. Wow, this is going to be really nice. It's going to be great to get outside, get some fresh air, to stroll with my friend and spend some quality time together. I can't wait to hear what's been going on in her life. This is going to be awesome just to catch up and be out of the house. I'm really looking forward to this. Okay, how about that story? And for you guys, if a leisurely walk isn't manly enough for you, then get one of your friends and turn it into a bit of a competition. Find a place that's a more difficult hike where you are actually climbing and working for it, or make it a race. Do 1 minute full sprint and see who wins, or go work out together. Same benefits. And this ties perfectly into today's topic too, staying sober with no meetings. This has been top of mind for me for the last few months as coronavirus happened and face-to-face meetings closed down. I was constantly thinking about different ways to stay engaged and keep recovery top of mind when we didn't have that gathering space to connect with and love one another. Meetings are important to me because I love to see my friends and see how they're doing and have laughs and remember how grateful I am for this recovery family. And what do you do when you don't have that human connection? You know, I immediately started doing daily meetings for our Facebook group, and we were doing daily meetings for about 4 or 5 weeks. I did them as long as my schedule allowed. If I had free time to provide a meeting, I did. Then I launched the membership site, the Inner Circle, because people wanted more interaction and more information. You wanted more things to keep you busy between podcast episodes. So completely unprepared and unplanned, I launched the membership and gave everyone a free month. See, it's about finding ways to replace the most important components of face-to-face meetings. I will never tell you that you can get sober and live a long-term, sustainable, sober life without connection. You cannot do it, quote unquote, on your own with no tribe. You will lose your mind because your thinking is broken and you can't fix yourself with broken thinking. But I will tell you there are other ways to create your tribe. It doesn't have to be AA. The important thing to remember in this is that you need a tribe that understands your drinking problem. Part of the value of meetings is that we understand each other on the deepest and most pure level because we're the same. I never feel happier or more safe and comfortable and accepted as I do when I'm around other alcoholics because we know each other on such a deeper level. We get each other. It's one thing to have some supportive people on your team who you are honest with about what you're going through. Of course, you have to have that. But this is a whole other level type stuff when you have a tribe of other alcoholics. Thank goodness we had the opportunity to do Zoom meetings, and that allowed us to connect and support each other. This is also why I created the private chat for my Inner Circle members, so we could all be connected throughout the day and have accountability in a 24-hour-a-day team. I mean, I'm not responding to the chat in the middle of the night because I'm asleep, but you know what I mean. This is what we have to do. If you aren't going to meetings, even when they open again, if you don't want to go, you have to create a support system specifically for your soberness. Think about how good it feels when we're talking to one another and you feel all warm and fuzzy inside because someone really gets you. Think about how much we laugh together and how much better you feel after connecting. You don't have to do this with AA or Smart Recovery or Celebrate Recovery. You don't have to do it with one of those programs if you don't want to. I don't know personally, I don't know why people get so hung up about meetings. We're the same people you drank with. We just sit in a different room now. And if you're one of the complainers about all you hear is negative stuff, that's your outlook. That doesn't have anything to do with the rooms. That's your negative perspective. because you and I could sit next to each other in the same meeting and hear exactly the same words. You're going to walk out with a shitty attitude. I'm going to walk out with a great attitude because that's my choice. If you only hear a negative message or you feel like it's depressing, that's about what's going on inside of you. It doesn't have anything to do with the meeting. But you don't have to go if you don't want to. What you do have to do is create your own tribe. You hear me talk about this all the time. And where you're super lucky right now in 2020 is that there are so many options. There are so many private groups and different people providing resources and support. And that's what you have to do. Go on Facebook and search local groups of alcohol-free people or sober people. There are a couple of those in my city, and my city does not have a ton of resources when it comes to being sober. But there are a couple of groups of people who get together and do coffee on Saturday mornings. There's another group that does a card game a couple times a month. Put some energy into seeking out your tribe. Start your own breakfast club and invite other sober people to join you. Look for sober softball teams. They're everywhere. And reach out to them and ask if you can start playing softball with them. That's a great way to start meeting other non-drinking people. If you don't want to be a part of the traditional programs, you have to put the energy into creating your own tribe. And, another way you can do this is think of activities that non-drinking people do, right? Like, now that I'm a non-drinker, I'm much more conscious about my health and my eating habits and exercising. You'll find me at the bookstore more than you would ever find me at a bar, right? Think of places where non-drinking people go and start doing those things and seeking out those people. Join the Inner Circle membership. That thing is only $25 a month. It's a ton of content and support, and you get the private chat, right? There's all these different things you can do to build a sober tribe. And that's what I want you to think about for this Double Down on Your Recovery bonus episode. Getting sober without meetings means you have to put extra energy into building your sober tribe to be whatever you want. But you have to have it, okay? That's what I'm talking about. I'm going to put all of the relevant links, of course, in the show notes. Join the Inner Circle membership site. It's $25. It's amazing support and community and all that stuff that you want. Also, how to work with me. You can work with me individually. I have some great programs. Also, to join the Facebook group, totally free. Support community again. You guys are so awesome in there. I love our Facebook group. And I'll link all that in the show notes. I hope you guys love your bonus episode. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you next week.